Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for another Tales from the Crypt review. Today it is the start of a new season, Season 2, Episode 1, Dead Right, directed by Howard Deutsch, and starring Demi as Kathy, and Jeffrey Tambor as Charlie. And this also makes Howard Deutsch our first two-time director of the show. He also directed the Season 1 episode, Only Sin Deep. And as always, there will be episode spoilers, so just a heads up on that. And I have to say, this is a solid episode overall. It is a very good start to Season 2, on par with the better episodes of the show up to this point, in my opinion. So we start with a funny scene with the crypt keeper, posing as a fortune teller, which fits the theme of the episode. I thought this was humorous. Then we get into our main plot with our character, Kathy. And she goes to see a fortune teller, even though she's skeptical. She's not really sure about them. Her name is Madame Vorna, I believe. And the fortune teller basically tells Kathy, you're going to lose your job and start a new job. And we also learn at this point that Kathy is only really worried about marrying for money and not for love. And Kathy is skeptical until these things actually happen. She does get fired, and she gets a new job as a waitress at a strip club, just like that. So at this point, she's starting to become a believer. She goes back to the fortune teller, and we learn more about her just wanting money, basically, and things like that. And she's also told that she will meet a man who will inherit money, and he will quickly pass away after that. So Kathy is pretty eager about this. She sees an opportunity there. So she's working in the strip club, and our other main character, Charlie, comes in, Jeffrey Tambor, with an interesting makeup job, I have to say. I guess it works in the context of the episode. Kathy's not interested in this guy at first. He's very, very large, to say the least, to put it in a nice way. But he likes her right away. But ultimately, she starts to come around. Then we get kind of a strange scene where Kathy's talking about him with her friend from her first job, and they're imagining different kinds of gruesome ways which Charlie might be killed. It's kind of a strange scene tone-wise, but it kind of works, I guess. So eventually, Kathy's back at work, and she agrees to go out with Charlie, and they have a date. Now, it's a pretty normal date. Everything seems to go okay until Charlie kisses her, and this doesn't go over well with Kathy. I'll just leave it at that. You can tell she's not really into this guy at all. But eventually, they do get married, as Charlie's pretty persistent, and Kathy remembers what the fortune teller, Madame Vorna, told her, so she feels like he'll inherit this money and pass away, and she'll be rich. So then when they're celebrating their wedding, we get this kind of strange dance sequence to the song Cheek to Cheek, kind of a classic old-time song there. And this scene strangely works. It's like intercut with Kathy and Charlie dancing, and with Kathy playing housewife. I actually thought this was one of the better scenes of the episode, and it was a good way to pass. I think it's like 3 months worth of time in doing it with this kind of medley. I thought it was pretty clever and worked pretty well. So at this point, I think, like I said, we're ahead about 3 months, and Kathy's pretty much losing patience. She goes back to the fortune teller. She says, you're a phony, nothing's happening like you said. This guy Charlie, he's still around, and I'm not going to inherit anything. So then Kathy goes shopping, and it turns out she wins $1 million because she's like the millionth customer at the store or something. So she's gloating now. She's pretty proud of herself, and she thinks the fortune teller made a mistake, and she's the one that was supposed to inherit the money. So not needing Charlie anymore, she basically goes home and dumps him, and she's very, very mean to this guy. She's like pushing him around and saying a lot of really nasty things. She also says she's leaving. She'll just buy all new stuff because she's got $1 million. She doesn't care. The problem is that Charlie snaps, and he basically takes a knife and he stabs Kathy several times and ultimately kills her. And I have to say, this is a pretty violent scene in the episode, but I guess it works okay. It's appropriate enough considering how mean the character of Kathy is. I guess she gets her just desserts, so to speak. So it turns out that the fortune teller was right. Charlie did inherit money after all. It's just that he inherited it from Kathy, and then he does die as he is killed, I guess, for killing his wife, Kathy. And then we go back to the fortune teller one last time, and she says she was right because she's always right. And it's also worth noting that she has a new customer, so I would say more trouble could be on the way if things go the same way for this lady like they did for Kathy. So overall, a very solid episode. It has a good flow and pace. Once again, I don't think the show has hit a perfect tone yet, but the tone is mostly solid, and Demi Moore does a good job actually in this episode. Her character's pretty one-dimensional, but she fleshes it out as much as she can. And Jeffrey Tambor, an always solid actor, is fine here too. So overall, I do think Dead Right is a worthwhile episode, and I give it a 4 out of 5. And definitely an episode I would say that fans of the show should watch. So a 4 out of 5 for Dead Right. And as always, thank you very much for watching.